my heart like a hand grenade here, and then it exploded very quickly. So he was Jimmy, then he wasn't Jimmy, then he was Jimmy, then he got rid of Jimmy, not Jimmy anymore. The time. 20 years has gone so fast. Happy birthday, American Idiot. Light a candle. Pale Slate ASMR. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. Wherever you are, I hope that you're alright, alright, alright. Welcome back, my beautiful people of the internet. Welcome back, my beautiful people of the internet, and welcome. I hope you all are doing very well indeed. It's a very exciting video because there's video. There's actually a video this time. No animated game engines here today. No presentations. No. We have just me, my microphones, and my camera. I can almost touch you now. I can almost touch you now. But anyway, I am also joined today by a very special guest that I would like you all to meet very quickly. So, without further delay, let me introduce my esteemed guest. Green Day presents American Idiot. Now you might be wondering, why do you have the 6th studio album by Green Day as a special guest? What is special about American Idiot? Well, it is not what is special about American Idiot, my dear viewer. It is about what is when. It's about when. When is special. What special is about to happen for American Idiot. On September 21st, 2024, this album right here, this album will be turning 20 years old. Yay! Happy birthday! So, this album is turning 20 years old. 20 years have gone so fast, to quote Billy Joe himself. And I thought it would be a fun little video to do, especially as a first video with camera, to celebrate this album's anniversary, because this album means so much to me, and I know it probably means a lot to many of you, because this album has inspired so many emotions, so many memories, such a large part of my life for so many years, in terms of my musical interests, my musical journey, and so much inspiration and joy and sadness and all sorts of things. This album has inspired so much in my life, and I wanted to be able to share a little bit of that with you all. So, that is why we are talking about American Idiot. Yes, dear viewer, on September 21st, 2004, in the midst of post 9/11 America, Green Day released American Idiot. This album is honestly probably one of the biggest career comebacks of all time, because the album before this warning had not sold particularly well. Green Day was not a part of the popular zeitgeist at that time. And then they released this album, this emotionally charged banger of an album, and it went on. This sold 23 million copies, which puts it up among the top-selling albums of all time. And it's just an incredible record from start to finish. It's so much, just great music, great songwriting, great story. I understand, and I think that especially for those of us who grew up during this time, the landscape and the chaos landscape of the post 9/11 world, I think this album really resonated with us, and really, told the story of a lot of people and how they were feeling. It really just resonated with how a lot of people were feeling, especially as they watched everything going on in the world, and as they became disenchanted, disillusioned with their own youth. A story about a disillusioned youth in the midst of that political landscape. It's, really just hit people right where in the feels. Hit people right in the feels. So, what's also interesting about this album, though, I will say, is that American Idiot, the title track, has been featured a lot on social media recently, I've seen. And a lot of people, talking about the political nature of the song American Idiot. And while I will agree, dear viewer, the song American Idiot is very political. It really is just the political song that sets the backdrop for the rest of the story, because the rest of the album is not inherently political. It's a punk rock opera, to quote Green Day themselves. It's really just a coming of age story set in the political backdrop of the mid 2000s in America. And so it's very interesting. It has a little fun has a little story, and it tells the story of the character Jesus of Suburbia and his life and his escapades, if you will. And we'll get to that in just a little bit, but I wanted to start here and just take a look at this vinyl. This is a special edition vinyl. It doesn't look that special from the get-go, but it had some cool colors on the actual vinyls themselves. So we'll take a look at those in a little bit. But I want to start, of course, with the iconic Heart hand grenade. Very iconic. I mean, this you saw this everywhere in the mid 2000s. This was such an iconic image, and it's simple. It's simple. It's straightforward. It gives a message without being too complex. It really just draws the eye, the black, the white, the red. It's all just this great color combination on this top. I love it so much. And just the little details, the pen and the blood. It's all little details that really just bring this all together. The sort of like distress on the text on all of this here. It's just very clean and it's very powerful without being too complex. And of course, on the back, we have the pen after it's been pulled. Our parental advisory, explicit content label. Produced by Rob Cavallo and Green Day, mixed by Chris Lord-Alge. Now, some of you may know that name, Chris Lord-Alge, some of you may not, but if any of you are big fans of like a lot of the pop punk in the mid 2000s, Chris Lord-Alge mixed a lot of it. The one that comes to mind is The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. It was also mixed by Chris Lord-Alge. And Chris Lord-Alge has just such an incredible mixing sound that makes this album, the guitars sound so powerful, the drums and the vocals just fit right in the mix. It's really cool. That's one of the things that's always drawn me to this album, is just how big and beefy it sounds. A lot of that is thanks to my man Chris Lord-Alge, so shout out to ZLA. And of course, we've got our track list here. Of course, number 1, American Idiot, title track, starting it off strong. Number 2, Jesus of Suburbia, which is the 9-minute epic in 5 parts. Jesus of Suburbia, City of the Damned, I Don't Care, Dearly Beloved, and Tales of Another Broken Home. Followed up by the 2 big singles, Holiday and Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Boulevard of Broken Dreams was a massive single, won a lot of awards, was on the charts forever. You couldn't escape it in 2005. Could not escape it in 2005. And honestly, it's a great song, so I don't blame anybody for loving it. And it's the only song on this album that I would consider probably overplayed, but I still love it, even though I've heard it so many times. Are We the Waiting? Saint Jimmy, Give Me No Gain, She's a Rebel, Extraordinary Girl, Let Her Bomb. The other massive single off the album, Wake Me Up When September Ends. Then the second 9-minute epic, Homecoming, featuring the death of St. Jimmy, East 12th Street, Nobody Likes You, Rock and Roll Girlfriend, and We're Coming Home Again. And then finally, the wonderful album ender, What's Her Name? we'll get into a little bit about this here in just a moment. But as we open up to the center, we see the Rage and Love tattoos. I am the son of Rage and Love, the Jesus of Suburbia. And I imagine this is supposed to be the Jesus of Suburbia character. I don't know if that ever was officially confirmed, but that's my guess with Rage and Love. And this is also just a very cool picture, a very cool image. It fits very well with the overall theme of the album. And of course, it's American Idiot starring Billy Joe Armstrong on guitar and lead vocals, Mike Dirnt on bass and vocals, Dre Cool on drum and vocals. And then down here, all of the wonderful people who made this album a reality. Let's see if we can bring some up so we can read them. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I don't want to bend this backwards, but let's see. We've got produced by Rob Cavallo and Green Day, engineered by Doug McKean, recorded at Ocean Way Recording, Hollywood, California. Assistant engineer Brian, Dr. Viv Vibritz, Greg, Stymie Burns, Capitol Studios, Hollywood, California. Assistant engineers Jimmy Hoyes and Joe Brown, 880 Studios, Oakland, California. Additional engineers Chris Dugan, Reto Peter. Mixed by Chris Lord Algie at Image Recording Studios, Hollywood, California. Assistant engineer Dimitar Daimi. I'm not even trying to say that. Kriniak, I'm not sure. Then mastered by Ted Jensen, Sterling Sound, New York. Additional musicians Rob Cavallo, piano, Jason Fries, saxophone, guest vocals on Litter Bob, Kathleen Hanna of Riot Girl, drum techs Kenny Butler, Mike Sack, Fasano, guitar tech Bill Schneider, additional Pro Tools, Nigel Lundemo, documentarian John Roker, project coordinator Cheryl Jennets, and our assistant Monica Klinger, management Pat McNarella, and art direction and photography Chris Billheimer. So I imagine we have Chris Billheimer to thank for this iconic image here. And there's some little small text that I can't see. Kathleen Hanna appears courtesy of Strummer Recordings. So that is the album sleeve, the Rage and the Love. And then of course you have your Rage and your Love albums. And this is what I do love about this set. Let's get this out of the way for now. Here we have the first of two. This is the first side. The first of two vinyl records in the album. Two vinyl records. One is Red for Rage. This, of course, has American Idiot, Jesus of Suburbia, as well as, let's see, Holiday, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, Are We the Waiting, and Saint Jimmy. And I just love this coloring. It's sort of like the see-through deep red with the little black streaks. It's just really cool. And I saw this and I was like, I have to have this edition because I had a normal edition, but I needed to have the fancy edition. The fancy edition. The fancy edition. And then of course our Love. Our Love record, which is this beautiful white ivory color. Beautiful white ivory color. Beautiful white ivory color. And then this is side 3, The Love. Give Me Novocaine, She's a Rebel. Extraordinary Girl, Let Her Bomb, Wake Me Up When September Ends. Of course, Homecoming, The Death of St. Jimmy, East 12th Street. Nobody Likes You, Rock and Roll Girlfriend, We're Coming Home Again, and What's Her Name for 9 minutes, 18 seconds, and 4 minutes, 12 seconds. Copyright 2005, Reprise Records, manufactured in Germany. Germany, there it is. And then of course again you got the Love, and like I said, this beautiful white ivory with the black streaks, and it's just so, you look at both these together. Of course, I put this away. Both these together. It's just such a cool. It just has a cool look, and it fits so well with the original album art. Just matches very well. So, I really think those are cool, and I saw them, and I had to have them. I saw them, and I had to have them. But I believe it's time for the main event. Because the best part of this album, while the album art is cool, and the final records are cool, the real piece de resistance, as they say, is this. The lyric booklet. Now, as you can see, dear viewer, I'm sure this isn't any old lyric booklet. This is styled. This is art direction. As you can see, this is meant to be the diary of Jesus of Suburbia, complete with lined notebook paper and edgy teen drawings. But we do appreciate the edgy teen drawings because it does really capture the stories, the characters of this story. And, you know, instead of just doing a very simple lyric booklet, they really went all out and said, hey, how can we take this cool album idea, this cool album story, and really, like, use the art to enhance it. So, as I was saying, it is time to talk about the story, because the story is very interesting. It's very simple, but very interesting. So, of course, as I said, you've got American Idiot, the title track. This sets the stage for the rest of the album that puts us smack dab in the middle of the mid-2000s of the Bush-era presidency and sets the tone of the political landscape that is the backdrop of the album. So, can you hear the sound? And it's such an iconic line. It says, can you hear the sound of hysteria? Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alienation. We're not the ones meant to follow, for that's enough to argue. And I love the little, like, the highlights and the cross-outs and those sorts of things, and calling out idiot America. So we set the stage. We are in the political landscape of the time, and we meet our title character, Jesus, or we meet our main character, Jesus of Suburbia. And Jesus of Suburbia, the 9-minute epic in 5 parts, tells the story of who this character is, what he believes in, what his life is like, his relationships are like. You know, he's a broken individual from a broken home, and he's just trying to find his way in the world. I'm the son of rage and love, the Jesus of Suburbia. And I do like the little diary entries with the dates, so you do get a little bit of a timeline thanks to this lyric book. So, February 23rd for American Idiot. March 2nd, Jingletown, USA. Jingletown is where Jimmy is from. Or, sorry, Jesus of Suburbia is from. Jimmy comes later. And then, Don't Believe in Me. Fall in Love and Fall in Debt to Alcohol and Cigarettes and Mary Jane to Keep Me Insane, doing someone else's cocaine. And there's nothing wrong with me. This is how I'm supposed to be in a land of make-believe that don't believe in me. Wow, poetry, honestly, poetry. Of course, we just learn more about him and who he is throughout the rest of this section here. So you have City of the Damned at the center of the earth in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven where I was taught. Center of the earth is the end of the world, and I could really care less. So just talking about his home, who he is. I don't care if you don't care. I don't care if you don't care. And I love this. It's just like, this part of the song always feels so angry and so much fun to sing out and scream. And this just really captures that energy with all caps and the Sharpie. But you can see how disillusioned he is with his hometown. Land of make-believe, and it don't believe in me. Land of make-believe, and I don't believe, and I don't care. Of course, truly beloved, with this picture, this burnt picture of this wedding cake topper, sort of saved in the journal, but that leads into tales of another broken home. And at this point in the story, Jimmy decides he's had enough. Jesus decides he's had enough. He's not Jimmy yet. He becomes Jimmy around here somewhere. Jesus decides he's had enough, and he decides he's going to leave. So that moves us on to holiday, April 1st, in the city. Now the city is where Jesus goes to escape. J-O-S, I'm going to call him now J-O-S. He's where he goes to escape. He goes to party. He goes to lose himself in the nightlife. I beg to dream and differ from the hollow lies. This is the dawning of the rest of our lives on holiday. This is our lives on holiday, and you can see the tone has changed in how the lyrics are structured. It looks a little more, well, this looked angry. This looks sort of dressed up and sort of reflecting the neon lights that draw you into the city, the neon lights that draw you into the city. But then, of course, every party must end. Every party must end. And if you drink too much, you get a hangover. And that's exactly what Boulevard of Broken Dreams is. I walk a lonely road, the only run that I have ever known. April 2nd, he wakes up. He's devastated. He's given it his all partying. He's drinking too much. He's did too many drugs. And now he's waking up the next morning and he's hungover and depressed and anxious and every sort of thing that happens when you get hungover. Probably has a massive headache. Needs some water. I don't think he drank any water. Nothing in these lyrics implies that he drank any water while he was drinking in the city. But this is sort of, this is the crash after the high. It comes down and are we the waiting? Screaming. And you start to see this anguish and this anger from this side start to repeat itself as J.O.S. tries to figure out who he is. He's not sure. He's partied. It hasn't brought him happiness. He's crashed. He's more depressed. And he's, starry nights, city lights coming down over me. Skyscrapers, stargazers in my head. We are the waiting unknown. And he's waiting for something. He doesn't know what he's waiting for. So he decides that he's going to capture it. And that is Easter Sunday. So he decides to create an alter ego. Saint Jimmy. Now I can say he's Jimmy. And Saint Jimmy is, let's see what he is. He's the suicide commando that your mama talked about, king of the 40 thieves. King of the 40 thieves, here to represent the needle in the vein of the establishment. He's the patron saint of the denial, with an angel face and a taste for suicidal. So, Saint Jimmy is sort of the confident bad boy that J.O.S. has longed to be, and thinks he is, thinks he can be. And well, that's his name. Don't wear it out. So, as he becomes this bad boy character, he starts to take away the pain from Are We the Waiting Boulevard of Broken Dreams, the pain through drugs. Again, take away the sensation inside. Bittersweet migraine in my head. Tell me I won't feel a thing. Give me Novocaine. Give me Novocaine. Tell me, Jimmy, I won't feel a thing. Give me Novocaine. So, he turns to drugs to numb the pain and to escape from his reality. And in that time, on July 4th, he meets the eccentric what's-her-name. She's a rebel, she's a saint, she's the salt of the earth, and she's dangerous. Now, what's-her-name is a true rebel. Jimmy is only a facsimile of a rebel. It's JOS's alter ego that he's trying to make into a rebel, but she's the real deal. She's the real deal. He's enamored with her. And so, as you can see, she's an extraordinary girl. He lacks the courage in his mind. Like a child left behind. Like a pet left in the rain. But she is an extraordinary girl in an ordinary world, and she can't seem to get away. So they're just two different sides of the coin, and because of that, he can never really appreciate her the way that she wants to be appreciated. So some days it's not worth trying now that they both are finding. She gets so sick of crying. So just like that, we turn to the back page. And Jimmy receives this, the letter bomb, August 18th, so July 4th, so this is like a really quick relationship, I actually just realized that, July 4th, extraordinary girl, doesn't have a date it seems, so July 4th and by August 18th, she's like, I'm done, so that shows he was holding on my heart like a hand grenade here, and then it exploded very quickly, so So she sends the letter. And she says, "You're not the Jesus of suburbia. The Saint Jimmy is a figment of your father's rage and your mother's love. Made me the idiot America." She basically tells him, "You're a joke. You've made yourself up to be, you consider yourself a martyr. And you've made this character from the remnants of your drama, of your childhood drama, but it's not you, it's not who you are." I said, "I can't take this place, I'm leaving it behind. I can't take this town, I'm leaving you tonight." I do it like, just, you have the letter here, the first part from the letter, she signs it, "What's your name?" And then he adds a little commentary, which is cool. And then, of course, on September 10th, this is framed, what you mean when September ends, is framed as part of the story, because, a month after this, like, hey, wake me up when this is all over, because it's just so, I can't handle the heartbreak, but, this song is just kind of not really part of the story, because it's actually about Billy's dad who passed away back when Billy was young. That's why it's 7 years has gone so fast, 20 years has gone so fast, thinking about how he lost his dad at 14, I believe, and this is a very emotional song for Billy. But then we get to the final epic, Homecoming, and this is basically JOS coming to terms with who he really is. And so we start out with the death of St. Jimmy. Jimmy died today. He blew his brains out into the bay in the state of mind in my own private suicide. So he gets rid of the St. Jimmy alter ego. He kind of finds himself. And then it takes him some time, though. He gets arrested for a DUI. He's just sort of still going on some self-destructive behavior. He's all alone. Nobody likes you. Everyone left you. They're all out without you having fun. And then he gets a letter from his friend Tony, who left behind. And Tony's basically like, "Hey, my life is great. My life is wonderful. There's nothing wrong. I've got a rock and roll band, rock and roll life, rock and roll girlfriend, house, car, the American dream." Johnny has realized the American dream. And so, Jimmy realizes, JOS realizes he's not Jimmy anymore. He was Jimmy, then he wasn't Jimmy, then he was Jimmy, then he got rid of Jimmy, not Jimmy anymore. So he realizes, hey, it's time to go, so we're coming home again. And then he realizes, I started running just as soon as my feet touch ground. We're back in the barrio, but to you and me, that's Jingle Town, that's home. And so he realizes, hey, he realizes how important home really is, and who you are is not dictated. You dictate who you are. You're not dictated by your surroundings, and you make what you make of each experience. then after a few months, he's getting back to normal. But what's her name comes back in his mind. Thought I ran into you down on the street. Then it turned out to only be a dream. I made a point to burn all of the photographs. She went away, and then I took a different path. I remember the face, but I can't recall the name. Now I wonder how what's her name has been. And in the darkest night, if my memory serves me right, I'll never turn back time, forgetting you, but not the time. And of course, the classic Billy in the Dynamite Fest from the holiday single, I believe. And then of course the duct tape is also a nice little touch. The what's your name badge. Oh, hello, my name is what's your name. The duct tape. It's just all these little nice touches that make this feel like a real journal, and it's someone's real story. Forgetting you, but not the time. 20 years has gone so fast. So, and with that, we come to the end of American Idiot, an album, a generation-defining album that brought joy to so many, including myself. This album has meant a lot to me over the years, and I've listened to it countless times. I wish I could look and see how much I listened to it, but I don't know. It's immeasurable at this point. I mean, I keep coming back to it. I can always listen to it. Almost always listen to this album, and I still catch new things every time. So it's crazy to think just how fast time is going. Now we're already here at the 20th anniversary of this album. I remember when I was young and heard this for the first time, and I was just blown away and couldn't get enough of it. And now here I am, an old man, crotchety. Here I am, old and wrinkled, and there's the time gone. Well, so with all that being said, I think there's just one last thing to do, and that is to say, happy birthday, American Idiot. Light a candle. Thank you for all the memories, all the wonderful music, all the wonderful emotion. Thank you, Green Day, for an incredible album that's meant so much to so many people. 20 years has gone so fast. Here's to 20 more. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.